Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, it's a feature story edition of our show. Logging is one of the most dangerous jobs in the United States, but Harrison Logging of Grenada, Mississippi has never had a lost time accident.
In southern gardening, hot and dry, you can have color and beauty in challenging areas.
Our first story is about this year's Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions in Jackson, Mississippi. It's the pinnacle of the junior livestock show circuit in the state. This year, the sale changed sites, a change that was well received.
People that haven't been around this, I mean, it is strange that, we take so good care of our cows and pigs and goats or whatever. They definitely think it's strange that we spend more time with our cows than we do, playing video games or watching TV or things like that. But I think livestock showing is one of the best things you can do to, better you in your future, because you learn so much about responsibility and leadership skills and teamwork, and a bunch of this money goes back into a scholarship fund.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artist Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Today it's an all-feature story edition of our show.
Leighton, in our first feature story, this year brought a few surprises to February's Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. The event welcomed newly elected officials, a record for total sales and scholarships, new fashion trends, and even the weather cooperated. As usual, top quality animals sold for anywhere from $5,000 to more than $20,000 each. But probably the biggest wow factor for the sale was a shocking change no one expected. Farm Week's Amy Taylor reports.
At the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions, there are several things you'll see every year. Beautifully groomed, finely bred livestock, hard-working exhibitors, highly coveted trophies, high-dollar bidders, and fancy apparel. And yes, the new fashion is to have your show stick covered in bling. But this year, there was one huge difference that no one saw coming. The 2012 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions experienced many new changes this year, with a new governor, ag commissioner, and bidders welcomed the warmer temperatures. But probably the most surprising change was the relocation of the sale itself. From the arena you see here to the much larger, climate-friendly Mississippi Trade Mart. For longtime patrons, this was a shocker. The first Sale of Champions was in 1970, and for as long as most can remember, it's been in the Dixie Sales Arena, where an empty seat can't be found. Now, it almost seems strange having this much room. The result of the 2012 sale was a huge success, with a record total of $299,000, passing the old one of $279,000. A record high price for a goat was also set at $100 a pound. In addition, there's a new scholarship record with 34 awarded, totaling over $51,000. Tucker Wagner says making it to the sale was the best way to end his show career. Despite comments from others about his commitment to showing, he testifies that livestock projects are ideal for developing life skills.
People that haven't been around this, I mean, it is strange that, we take so good care of our cows and pigs and goats or whatever. They definitely think it's strange that we spend more time with our cows than we do, playing video games or watching TV or things like that. But I think livestock showing is one of the best things you can do to, better you in your future, because you learn so much about responsibility and leadership skills and teamwork, and a bunch of this money goes back into a scholarship fund.
Wagner says a certain percentage of sale earnings go toward the scholarship awards. And even though $20,000 for a steer is a lot of money, it's not really all profit.
Our feed bill is, I don't even want to say what it is because it's so bad, but it takes a lot of money and a lot of time, and it's not all pocketed at the end. You've got to pay the bills.
Additionally, Wagner says the money will go toward developing his family's cattle herd so they can raise their own show animals. Scholarship winner Miranda Stevens and Sale of Champions exhibitor Jacob Bell. Both say working with animals teaches perseverance and determination.
They don't just work the way you want them to every day. They wake up in a different mood just like we do every day. So even if they're being a little ornery, we have to just stick with it and keep working with them.
You can't just say, oh, I don't want to do it today. You have to do it every day. It's not just a 5-minute thing either. It's more like an hour or an hour and a half a day. It's worth it when you get the shake of the hand from the judge. It really is worth it.
In addition, Bell describes the moment he knew his lamb won grand champion.
I was really nervous and my hands were all sweaty and I was freaking out inside. I was looking at my lamb's feet trying to decide if I should move it or not, and he kind of like whistled like to get me out of looking, and then he shook my hand. So it was really exciting.
Bell says this is his first time to ever make the sale. As for the additional perks of showing livestock, Miranda Stevens says many exhibitors become lifelong friends.
I'll probably have more friends here in the livestock and through 4-H than I do in high school, because almost every weekend and a lot of the important weekends in my life, I'm going to be at livestock shows with all the people here.
Also, Stevens credits Mississippi State University Extension Service agents and other volunteers for inspiring her career goals as she weighs her options between physical therapy and livestock.
Lately, I've just realized how much help my extension agent and all the other volunteers have helped me do things that I've wanted to do. I just like the livestock aspect and environment of life. So either physical therapy or I'll go into Mississippi State Extension.
Stevens says whatever path she chooses, she'll use the skills she learned to achieve success. Many livestock exhibitors go on to become great contributors to their communities, which is why newly elected Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant and various business leaders support the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions.
We've got people from all over the business community in the state of Mississippi here at this sale today, and they don't have to do that. They get called on quite a bit to contribute to support. Representatives of congressmen's offices are here. We're continuing to remind people that agriculture, ranching, and growers are so important to the economy of the state of Mississippi. Everybody wants the high-tech industries, and those are great, but it's the land that Mississippi's famous for. These children here are going to be our future ranchers and growers and farmers. We've got to continue to support agribusiness.
Governor Bryant showed his support by teaming up with other elected officials and business leaders to purchase an animal. Newly elected Mississippi Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, Cindy Hyde-Smith, who is also a longtime supporter of the sale, says this is a good way to showcase agriculture in the state.
This is a really good year for agriculture. A lot of the markets are up. I know the cattle prices are good. And, you know, it just gives us that boost that we need to get out there and provide that safe, affordable food for Mississippians.
Additionally, Smith commented on her hopes to improve the grounds of the Mississippi Trade Mart Center and Coliseum.
We want to make some improvements down here, and we're working on a private-public partnership with naming rights for our Coliseum. So that will bring in the private dollars that we need to enhance and capitalize on what we have.
Smith also joined in with fellow buyers to purchase a Sale of Junior Champions animal. Tucker Wagner says he will always be grateful to generous buyers and volunteers who make this event possible. In addition, he has many to thank for helping him succeed.
I don't know where to begin when you thank people. My mom and dad, they've been so supportive over the past few years. You know, I never thought they would haul me all over the country to cow shows, but when I asked, they do. My FFA advisor, Mr. Johnson, he's like my second dad. I don't know what I would do without him. He's helped me so much, and you know, he's gotten me a bunch of scholarships and in with the right people many times. And then my cousin Leanne, she's also a 4-H agent in another county, and she's I don't know what to say about her. She's just awesome. She's really helped me, get our steers where they need to be, and feeding the cattle, and she's really an asset.
When looking at the 2012 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions, it can be said that no matter how it changes, the event will always be about supporting young people and securing great leaders for the future. From Jackson, Mississippi, I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
And if you're interested in watching this story again, you can go to our Farm Week website. That's farmweek.msucares.com. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube. You can even like us there if you so choose. See who's going to be number 150. We're still growing. We're still growing. You can also get involved in junior livestock showing through Mississippi 4-H and Mississippi FFA. We will have links on the Farm Week website and the Facebook page to get you started. That's farmweek.msucares.com. And Leighton, one thing to talk is a lot of people, they think primarily when you get to showing animals, it's cattle, it's,
Right.
But there's the goat category, there is the sheep category, so you don't have to have necessarily a big barn or a stout barn if you're trying to handle a big steer. Or
Can be done on a smaller scale.
Or facilities if you're trying to grow hogs. Well, obviously there's, the manure factor with a hog, So there are other ways to get into livestock showing, and and of course these smaller animals are great for younger showmen that are wanting to try to do it. Mm-hmm. And it is a great way to teach them responsibility, because as the young man pointed out, if you're really wanting to get your animal to work right, you got to work with him every day. You got to get out there and move him around, set him up.
It's not just 5 or 10 minutes.
So that he's used to your handling him, and then when hopefully you travel to some shows, he gets used to doing that in a crowd. And so it's the sort of thing I think they see that for something to be accomplished, it does take work, and it's not done easily. It takes place over time. But anyway, congratulations, and we'll be back next February.
Well, it's time now for our trivia quiz on this edition of Farm Week. This week it's about blueberries in Mississippi. We have approximately 2,700 acres. Our question on the quiz: how many pounds of blueberries were harvested in Mississippi last year? Is the answer 27,000 pounds, or 175,000 pounds, 2.5 million pounds, or your last choice, 5 million pounds? We'll have the answer after our Southern Gardening segment.
Well, Mississippi's landscapes can be hot and dry, especially during the summer. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension Horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us some plants that can take those hot and dry spells with beauty and interest.
Sometimes the home gardener can be frustrated looking for plants to place in a hot and dry landscape. Here at the MSU Veterans Memorial Rose Garden are some plants that like it hot. Stokesia Blue Danube is a spreading plant that features beautiful lavender blue flowers. The flowers can be up to 4 inches across and have fringed edges. The flower production is generous and can last for several weeks. Coreopsis is a floral workhorse in the hot and dry landscape. The bright yellow flowers are held high above the basal foliage on tall, thin stems that move easily with the slightest breeze. Another attractive yellow flowering selection is Jerusalem sage. This can be a small shrub-like plant with fragrant foliage that is covered in fine hairs. The yellow flowers are displayed in whorls. Later, the round seed heads are unusual and attractive. Ground covers are a great choice for these hot and dry conditions. Artemisia is also called wormwood. The silvery foliage is finely cut and creates a fine visual texture. The growth habit is spreading and very vigorous. Lamb's ear, known botanically as stachyes, is a very descriptive name. The foliage is a cool, muted seafoam color and has a fuzzy texture that has a very soft feel. In the spring, flower spikes shoot straight upward with small purple flowers. As you can see, the hot and dry landscape doesn't have to look like a desert. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says don't let hot and dry conditions in your landscape keep you from planting. There are plants that can take the heat and be worth the effort.
And it's time now for the answer to our trivia quiz this week on Farm Week. It concerns again how many pounds of blueberries were sold in Mississippi last year. Well, the answer is 5 million pounds, according to the Mississippi State University Extension Service. 2.4 million pounds were sold for the fresh market. 2.6 million pounds went for frozen sales. They had a market value of $6.4 million.
We're going to pause now for a break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll have the calendar and one more feature story for you. Meet a large logging company with an outstanding attribute: safety. Harrison Logging of Grenada, Mississippi has never had a lost time accident.
Committed I'm relentless. It's not always easy. There are bad days, but you don't give up. You keep going and work through it. And once you do, you realize that it's your commitment that helped you make it this far. So, yes, I'm absolutely committed to my marriage. Until death do us part. Commit to your marriage.
Well, before we get back to our last story, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The Delta Research and Extension Center of Mississippi State University is changing up its Stoneville Summer Field Days this year. Soybeans and corn will be the focus of the first field day. That will be Monday, July 9th. Times have shifted to the afternoon. Registration gets underway at 2 p.m. with trailer tours of field plots beginning at 3:30 p.m. A reception will be held at 5:45 p.m. at the Delta Council's office at Stoneville. Pre-register in order to be eligible for door prizes. Rice producers have been given their own field day at Stoneville this year. As with the soybean and corn field day, the times have shifted to the afternoon. Registration gets underway at 2 p.m. with trailer tours of the field plots starting at 3:30 p.m. A reception will follow at 5:45 p.m. at the Delta Council's Stoneville office. You must pre-register in order to be eligible for door prizes. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
Our last story today is about a state business with a perfect safety record. Harrison Logging of Grenada is the outgoing Mississippi Forestry Association's Outstanding Logger of the Year. Now, the most obvious reason is safety. The company has not had a lost time accident in the 27 years that it's been in operation. But there are many other reasons why they are outstanding as well. Farm Week caught up with the Harrisons in late September while they were on a job near Oxford. This is one of the 4 harvesting crews operated by Harrison Logging of Grenada, Mississippi. This crew is managed by Kevin Harrison in the center. His father, Carl Harrison, on the right manages a second crew. Kevin's brother, Darren, on the left manages a third crew. And cousin Paul Harrison manages the fourth crew. Altogether, there are 27 employees. Darren Harrison says things were much different back when he joined the operation in 1992.
We had a bale cutter and a cable. It was all cable and chainsaw work then. We don't even own a chainsaw anymore. It's a big difference what it was then and is now.
Today, Harrison Logging operates a fleet of equipment that includes 7 skidders, 5 feller bunchers, 6 knuckle boom loaders, and 4 crew and service trucks. For each of the 4 harvesting crews, safety is always the top priority.
You cannot have enough safety. I mean, everybody out here, you know, you spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day with somebody, you know, you become like family. But there's no amount of money, you know, in the world that can bring somebody back if something happens.
Harrison Logging has never had a lost time accident since the business was started in 1984. Their perfect safety record can be attributed to ongoing training from the Mississippi Loggers Association, the Mississippi State University Extension Service, and other groups. Members of the Mississippi Forestry Association Timber Harvest Committee say the company's outstanding safety record, along with its use of best management practices or BMPs on timberland, are 2 reasons why Kevin Harrison was chosen the Outstanding Logger of the Year.
Probably one of the greatest attributes that we saw that was their flawless safety record. Been in the business for 27 years without a recordable accident. Not only that, but to talk about the BMP work that they do, and they hire a separate BMP contractor to do all their BMP work. You know, it's always, you know, a lot cheaper for them to do it themselves, but they figured out, well, you know, we can hire somebody and do somebody that specializes in it and does a good job of it.
And most loggers know when you get ready to move, you're in a hurry to move, and you won't do the BMP work like a contractor will. I mean, and I want to make sure all my clients are satisfied, and repeat business is where we get 90 to 95% of our work from.
This job at Goose Valley Ranch in Oxford, Mississippi is a good example of that repeat business. Harrison Logging is doing a second thinning on a tract of timber owned by Joe Huggins and his wife, Linda.
We feel like he just does an exceptional job. He takes care of the property. We have areas that we call signature spots, and he pays particular attention to them and does a fine job doing them however we want them to be. If we want to leave stuff, he works around it and just does a great job working with the landowner and taking the time and effort to really do a fine job.
Besides knowing the landowner's expectations before moving any equipment onto a job, Kevin Harrison develops a specific site management plan for his employees to follow while working there. This plan incorporates the principles of the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, as well as best management practices.
You've got to know where everything's going to be set up, where the road's going to be built, where the land is going to be built. We've got a program, my timber buyer, before we ever move on a job, that we got a topo map, aerial photograph. We to get with the landowner, see where he wants the roads, and you need to know 2 days ahead of time before you ever move on a site. You got to have your plan laid out before you ever move on that job, know what you're gonna do. If you lose a day's downtime, you done lost several $1,000s if you waiting to try to figure out where you going, where you gonna move to.
Harrison Logging's concern for the environment is seen in all of their management practices. For example, landings are leveled by hauling tops and debris back into the woods with skidders. It is scattered over skid trails to minimize compaction of the soil. Fine debris that won't hold in the grapple is left on the landing to prevent soil exposure. Water bars and turnouts are installed on the roads after completion of a job. 2007 marked a turning point in the history of Harrison Logging. Before then, almost all of their timber was contracted with Weyerhaeuser and Georgia Pacific. Only 15% was purchased directly from landowners. But market changes in 2007 provided the company the opportunity to expand by purchasing more privately owned timber. This eventually led to the hiring of a full-time procurement forester by Harrison Logging.
The role that I play with Harrison Logging is strictly a procurement role. To be sure that the company maintains an inventory, a forest inventory that's large enough to keep all the Harrison crews running with wood. My responsibility covers pretty much everything from contacting any prospective seller of timber to the contracts that are involved in procuring timber or any county haul permits as necessary.
The wood from the thinning operation in Oxford is going 2 different directions. The chip and saw is being taken south about 30 miles to Weyerhaeuser and Bruce. The pine pulpwood is being hauled 124 miles northeast to the PCA Containerboard Mill in Counce, Tennessee. Carl Harrison, who started this logging business in 1984, says the distance wood has to be hauled now has increased dramatically from the 1980s.
Well, back then it was more mills and closer haul. If you hauled over 30 miles in, you was on a long haul. Now it's very common to haul wood 100 miles or better because of mill, there's not as many mills now.
Throughout its history, Harrison Logging has been an active member of the Grenada County Forestry Association. In May of 2011, they sponsored a CFA meeting on the economic impact of forestry. In other recent community involvement, they sponsored a logger education program last year in the county. This included providing a log truck to MDOT for a day for use in demonstrations to other loggers. With a flawless safety record, dedication to the use of best management practices, and a commitment to the industry, Harrison Logging is an undisputed leader in North Mississippi. From Oxford, Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting. And you can watch this story again on Kevin Harrison and his crews on the Farm Week website, our Facebook page, or on YouTube. Now, our website is farmweek.msucares.com. Find us on Facebook as well and give us a click on that like button if you feel so inclined. Once again, artists, a very large operation there, 27 employees. I mean, that's a major employer in that area.
Any town would love to have a business that size. It's just not a brick and mortar store. They require the services of accountants and people and repairmen just like everyone else. It's just that they're doing it out in the woods and are doing it in various locations. A major business. But congratulations to the Harrison on their great safety record, if nothing else. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we're going to have a Farm Week flashback special.
Harris Barnes of Clarksdale, Mississippi started out as a farm manager, but his photography hobby eventually led to a career in agricultural journalism. He was also a published author.
You'll also go to Indianola, where the Rutan family has a well-known restaurant called The Crown and a specialty food business called A Taste of Gourmet. Well, for the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.